We've all been there, you're all having a good day and then someone says or does something and bam, you're triggered, your heart races, your stomach tightens, and before you know it, you're reacting in a way you wish you hadn't. So by the end of this video, you're going to know how to practice non-reactive to other people. And the 7K changes I will share with you in this video will allow you to gain your peace, your freedom, your relationship will improve, and you're gaining back your confidence. But I will warn you, skipping just one of these changes could be the reason that this doesn't work for you. So if you're ready to take back your power and stop being emotionally controlled by others or by other people, let's get into it. First, what is being non-reactive? Being non-reactive means staying calm, composed, and in control of your emotion in situation that might normally trigger to a strong response. It's not about letting external events or people dictate how you feel or act. Instead of reacting impulsively or emotionally, you pause, you assess the situation, and choose a thoughtful response. For example, if someone criticizes you, instead of immediately getting defensive or angry, you take a moment to reflect on what was said and respond calmly. If this ability helps maintain emotional balance and reduces unnecessary conflict, leading to a healthier relationship and better decision making. So, being non-reactive doesn't mean suppressing your emotion, but rather developing emotional intelligence and self-awareness to respond with intention rather than reacting from impulse. So let's start with a story because I think stories really bring these lessons to life. So this happened a couple years ago when I was working in an office job. I had this colleague, we'll call him John, who was a real challenge to deal with. He was a type of guy who always seemed to have a problem with something. And more often than not, he'd find a way to make you the problem. So he'd criticize, make snide comments, and just push all the wrong buttons. One day, I had a mountain of work to do, and John walked over, complaining about some project I wasn't even involved in. He was rude, aggressive, and blaming me for things that weren't even my fault. I could feel my heart rate to go up, the frustrations building, and I was about to snap. But something stopped me. I took a deep breath and said, I hear you, John, but I'm not going to let this get to me. Let's talk about it when we're both calmer. He walked away, still grumbling. But here's the thing. By choosing not to react, I didn't let his negativity affect my day. And that's the first key change I want you to consider today. Pause before you react. One of the simplest but most effective things you can do is to pause. In the heat of the moment, when someone is pushing your buttons, you feel that urge to react, to say something, to defend yourself. But if you can just give yourself a moment, even just a few seconds to pause, you create space between the trigger and your response. In that space, you get to decide how you want to respond. You take back control over the situation instead of reacting on impulse. You can choose calm. You can choose peace. And that's powerful. Here's a quick exercise you can try. The next time you feel triggered, just take a deep breath. Count to 5 if you need to. This might sound simple, but that little pause gives you the power to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. So why this change is so important? Pausing allows you to stay in control of your emotions rather than letting them control you. So when you react impulsively, you often end up saying or doing things you regret later. But when you pause, you gave yourself the chance to respond in a way that aligns with who you truly want to be. Let me tell you another story. This time about a family dinner that almost went sideways. A while back, I was at a holiday dinner with my family. One of those gatherings where everyone's crammed into one room and tensions run high. During the meal, a relative made a snarky comment about a decision I'd made in my life, in my personal life. I felt the blood rush to my face and I was ready to snap back. But instead, I remembered to pause. I took a deep breath and asked myself, is this really worth it? Will reacting improve the situation? And the answer was no. So I stayed quiet. Later, when we were alone, I calmly explained how the comment had made me feel. So it led to a meaningful conversation rather than an argument in front of the whole family. So here's the second key change is don't take things personally. The second tip is to not take things personally. I know this is easier said than done, but hear me out. Most of the time, when people criticize or lash out, it has more to do with them than it does with you. Their comments are a reflection of their own insecurities, frustrations, or bad day, not a reflection of your worth. So when you take things personally, you're giving someone else control over your emotions. You're letting their word dictate how you feel about yourself. But when you can step back and realize that their behavior has nothing to do with you, you become free. You don't have to react because you understand that it's not about you, it's about them. So why this change is so important? Not taking things personally frees you from the emotional roller coaster of other people's opinions. It allows you to maintain your peace even when someone else is trying to bring you down. This next story is a little more personal. Not long ago, I got into a big argument with someone really close to me. We were talking about something that started out as a small disagreement, but quickly escalated. You know how that goes, right? What started as one small thing spiraled into something much bigger. At one point, I remember feeling so angry and so ready to say something that I know I'd regret. So my emotions were taking over and I was about to lose control. But something inside me told me to stop. I took a deep breath, closed my eyes for a second, and reminded myself that whatever I said next could either build or break the relationship. That pause saved the conversation. I didn't react in anger. Instead, I listened. I didn't say everything I wanted to, but it made space for a real conversation rather than a fight. That's when I learned the importance of letting go of the need to be right. Which brings us to our third key change. Let go of the need to be right. So many of us get reactive because deep down we feel this need to be right. When someone challenges us, criticizes us, or disagrees with us, we automatically want to defend our position. We want to prove we're right and they're wrong. But let me tell you something. In most situations, being right is overrated. What's most important is being right or keeping your peace. You might win the argument, but at what cost? Your peace, your relationship, when you let go of the need to be right, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of constantly trying to defend your ego. So it's not about backing down. It's about choosing your battles wisely. So when you let go of needing to be right, you let go of a huge source of reactivity. This next story is about a time when a friend of mine, Nora, posted something on social media that she felt proud of. But as you know, not everyone on the internet is kind. She started getting negative comments, people calling her out, disagreeing with her, and making personal attacks. Her initial reaction was to engage, to defend herself, to prove them wrong. But then she stopped. She asked herself what she really gaining by reacting to these people. Nothing. In fact, it would only make her feel worse. So she ignored the negative comments and instead focused on the supportive ones. She didn't let the negativity affect her sense of self-worth. So the fourth key change is shifting your focus. When someone says something hurtful or negative, our minds tend to zero in on that comment and we forget all the positive things that are happening around us. But here's the thing, you get to choose what you focus on. If you focus on your negativity, you'll feel negative. But if you focus on the positive things in your life, the supportive people, the good moments, you'll feel better. So this doesn't mean ignoring problems. It just means not giving them more attention than they deserve. So why this changes is so important. Shifting your focus allows you to maintain a positive mindset, even when you're surrounded by negativity. It helps you stay grounded in the things that really matter, rather than getting lost in other people's opinions or actions. So there was a time when I had a boss who was really critical of everything I did. No matter how hard I worked, it seemed like nothing was good enough. I used to take it personally, and I go home feeling frustrated and defeated. But one day, I decided to change my perspective. Instead of seeing the criticism as personal attack, I started to view it as an opportunity to improve. So I listened to the feedback and used it to grow. And you know what? Eventually, my boss's criticism started to feel less like an insult and more like a challenge. So the fifth tip is to reframe the situation. So when someone says or does something that bothers you, try to look at it from a different perspective. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? So by reframing the situation, you turn something negative into an opportunity for growth. And why this change is so important. Reframing allows you to take control of how you experience life. Instead of feeling like a victim to other people's behavior, you become empowered to turn challenges into opportunities. So this last story is a little more lighthearted, but I think it illustrates the point well. One day I was driving and another driver cut me off in traffic. I felt the anger rise in my chest and my immediate reaction was to honk the horn and yell something out the window. But then I stopped. I asked myself, is this really worth my energy? Instead of reacting, I let it go. I turned on some music and by the time I reached my destination, I had completely forgotten about the incident. So that's when I realized something. It's something important. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. So the sixth tip is to change to choosing silence. So not every situation requires a reaction. Sometimes the most powerful things you can do is to say nothing at all. Silence can be a way of maintaining your peace, of not engaging in unnecessary conflict. So why this is so important? Choosing silence protects your energy. It allows you to disengage from situations that don't serve you and focus on the things that do. Let me tell you another story that, I think this will resonate. A couple of years ago, I went to a family gathering. One of those big ones where everyone gets together for the holidays. Now, you know how family can be, right? They know exactly how to push your buttons, and for some reason, family gatherings tend to bring out the worst in everyone, right? So at this particular gathering, a family member made a comment that was, well, less than kind. It was one of those passive aggressive jobs that was clearly meant to provoke me. So in the past, I would snap back, defending myself or maybe even making a snarky comment in return. But this time, I tried something different. I paused, took a breath, and reminded myself that this person's comment had nothing to do with me and everything to do with their own issues. So I smiled, let it go, and moved on with the conversation. I didn't let it ruin my night or the relationship. So the seventh K change is practice empathy. When someone says or does something that could provoke you, try to see it from their perspective. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're dealing with something you don't know about. So when you can see beyond their words or actions, it becomes easier to let go of the need to react. Okay, let's talk about why these changes are so important. You might be wondering, why should I let go of being reactive? Isn't it normal to feel emotions, to get angry when someone disrespects me? Yes, it's normal to feel emotions. But here's the thing. When you react impulsively, you're letting those emotions control you. You're giving your power away to someone else. Every time you react without thinking, you're letting the other person dictate your emotions, your mood, and even your day. But when you choose not to react, when you pause, when you let go of needing to be right, you're taking your power back. You're saying, I control how I feel, not you. And that's incredibly freeing. Now, let's talk about some common mistakes people make when, trying to practice being non-reactive. These are traps I've fallen into myself and I want to help you avoid them. Mistake number one is suppressing your emotions. A lot of people think that being non-reactive means you shouldn't feel anything. But that's not true. Being non-reactive doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or pretended they don't exist. It's important to acknowledge how you feel. The goal is to feel your emotions without letting them control your actions. It's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to let that anger dictate what you do or say in the heat of the moment. So mistake number two is expecting immediate results. Learning to be non-reactive is a process. You're not going to master it overnight. There will be times when you slip up, when you react before you realize what's happening. But that's okay. That's okay. What matters is that you keep practicing. Over time, it will get easier and you'll notice yourself becoming calmer, more in control. So mistake number three is avoiding all confrontation. Being non-reactive doesn't mean you avoid You avoid confrontation altogether. Sometimes you need to address issues head on, but you can do it in a calm and a controlled manner. The goal is to respond, not to react. Responding is thoughtful, intentional. Reacting is emotional and impulsive. So learn the difference. So what do you really gain when you master the art of being non-reactive? First, you gain peace of mind. So instead of constantly being at the mercy of other people's words and actions, you become the one in control of your own emotions. You're, you don't get tossed around by the waves of the other people's behavior. You stand firm in your own calm. Second, you gain freedom. So when you stop letting other people's negativity affect you, you free yourself from unnecessary stress, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion. You don't have to carry the weight of their opinions or their moods. You get to live on your terms. Third is you gain strength. So there's a quiet strength in being non-reactive. It's not about being passive or weak. It's about knowing when to engage and when to walk away. It's about choosing your battles and protecting your energy for the things that really matters to you. Lastly, you gain better relationships. When you're non-reactive, you approach your relationships with more empathy and understanding. You don't let small conflicts or disagreements escalate because you've learned how to pause, reflect, and respond with the intention rather than emotion. So people will notice this change in you, and over time, your connections with others will deepen. Now, I know this isn't easy and it's not something that happens overnight. It takes practice, it takes awareness. But each time you pause before reacting, each time you choose to take things personally, each time you shift your focus or reframe the situation, you're strengthening that muscle. You're becoming more non reactive, more peaceful, more powerful. So, if you're made in this far in this video, I encourage you to start practicing these changes today. Don't wait for the next big conflict to test yourself. Start small. The more you practice, the more natural it will come. It will come. And soon enough, you'll notice a shift in your life that will bring more peace, clarity, and strength. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, you have the power to decide how you respond to life. Don't let anyone take that power away from you. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments how you dealt with being reactive in the past, or if you started making these changes in your life. I'd love to hear your story. And I'll see you in the next video. And if you want to know how to turn on your feminine energy, you should watch this video here. Thank you so much.